Most people think once the sign goes in the yard, the hard part is over, but it's not. Because what actually determines whether a home sells and how smoothly it sells is everything that happens before and during the listing process that most sellers never see. So today I'm going to walk you through kind of a behind the scenes of how I get a home ready for sale so that you can really understand the process. Hi, if we haven't met, I'm Tina Veltri, and I help people buy, build, sell, and relocate along Florida's Space Coast, the place where I grew up. And when it comes to selling, my focus is simple: preparation, coordination, and smart execution from day one. Because most sales don't fall apart at the closing table. They usually start struggling much earlier, in the details that most sellers don't even realize until it's too late. Every successful sale starts with a very honest conversation. When I walk into a home, I'm not just looking at square footage or finishes. I'm really looking for what buyers will notice first, where their hesitations might happen, what could create friction during the inspection process, and what can we do to improve the home's marketability before the home ever hits the market. And sometimes those conversations can be very emotional, because living in your home and preparing your home for market are two very different things. And my job is to help sellers see their home the way buyers will and prepare accordingly. Once a seller decides to move forward, that's when the real coordination begins. And this is the part many sellers don't fully see. Depending on the home, this could include vendor scheduling, minor repairs, paint touch-ups, system servicing, deep cleaning, and sometimes staging preparation. And this phase matters so much more than people actually expect, because strong presentation reduces the number of objections that buyers come up with later. And that's so important. It also helps the home to show more confidently from day one. And this is where momentum is quickly built before the market ever sees your home. One of the biggest behind the scenes decisions is staging. And staging is not about making your home look pretty. It's about helping buyers quickly understand the scale, the flow, and how the home actually lives, along with being able to envision themselves living in your home. Sometimes we remove furniture. Sometimes we just rearrange. And sometimes professional staging makes the most sense. Now, I've broken staging down much more deeply in another video, and I'm going to link that in the description below. But what matters most is this: when buyers feel clear in the space, they stay longer. And when they stay longer, offers become much more likely. Before a home ever hits the market, there's a launch sequence happening behind the scenes. And this is critical. It includes final walkthroughs, photography preparation, lighting checks, MLS description, and that really makes a big difference, marketing review, and the timing that your home actually goes live. Because today's buyers are making showing decisions from their phones, often in seconds. And if the presentation isn't strong from the start and the description isn't strong from the start, it's really hard to recreate that first wave of attention later on. Now, there is another piece that most sellers don't realize that happens behind the scenes, and that's the marketing rollout and the open house timing. Remember, all of these things work together. When a home hits the market, the goal isn't just exposure. It's coordinated exposure. So I'm looking at when the home goes live, when agents will see it first, when buyer traffic is most likely to peak. So in many cases, that means launching at the end of a week, positioning the first open house strategically that very first weekend. And while the listing is still fresh and buyers are paying the most attention to it, hitting it hard right away. But every home is different. Sometimes we need to adjust the timing based on the property or the condition or the seller's schedule. And that's okay, because the goal is never just to list the home. The goal is to create the strongest possible first wave of interest based on your particular home and, of course, your needs. Once your home goes live, the work doesn't stop there or slow down. It just shifts. Now we're managing showing activity, agent feedback, buyer reactions to your home, open house traffic. This is when I'm watching things very closely, because this beginning data truly does matter, not just for offers, but for patterns, because buyer behavior tells a lot very quickly. And the first couple of weeks on the market are when those signals are most strong and where we need to be ready to pivot if necessary. But the goal is to get it right from the very beginning. If you're thinking about selling now or even down the road, go ahead and download my seller guide. It walks you through the full step-by-step process so that you can see how all of this fits together before you make any major decisions. When offers start coming in, many sellers believe the hard part is done. But believe me, this is when strategy still matters very much. We're looking at strength of financing, inspection exposure, timeline alignment, and overall risk. We're looking at what the buyer has offered and what the terms of the contract are, and is that advantageous to you? Because the highest price, the highest offer, is not always the strongest offer. We have to look at all the parts of the contract, of the offer. And my job is to help sellers see the full picture so that they can make confident decisions, not just hopeful ones, and wonder later. Here's what I've learned after years in the business. Homes rarely struggle because of one big mistake. They struggle because small pieces of the process weren't handled early enough or carefully enough. Selling isn't just one big decision. It's a series of coordinated steps that build buyer confidence from the very beginning. If you're thinking about selling, or perhaps your home didn't sell, and you want a clear plan before you start or restart, I'm always here to help you think it through. If you'd like to talk about your specific situation, you can schedule a consultation call using the link in the description. And if you want to understand how pricing fits into the larger picture, I'll also link my pricing strategies video there. Now, if you're not ready to talk, that's okay. Just leave a comment and tell me where you're at in the process. I do read all the comments. And if this kind of honest step-by-step guidance is helpful, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I put out a new video every Tuesday. Thanks for watching. I'm Tina Veltri. I'll see you in the next video.